Hi, welcome to the video. My name's Dychronic, and today, take a look at the Xur for September 16th, 2022. First up, you can find the Xur in the Watcher's Grave on Nessus. Just head over right here on top of this big old tree, and you can find the Xur right here. And this is a high overview, in case this is all you cared about. And I'm definitely excited about a few of them. Furthermore, I'm just noticing that there's two sets of armor now. First up for the exotic weapon today, we have the Two-Tailed Fox. Now, the Two-Tailed Fox is an interesting one, because it fires two different rockets, but funnily enough, these two different rockets don't feel like they're doing two rockets worth of damage. And furthermore, they fire quite slowly. You have to wait for the things to come out of the tube, they actually slow down and then slowly speed up, and they're not really that high of a DPS, compared to something like Gjallarhorn or even Eyes of Tomorrow. It just feels like it doesn't do anything particularly well. And even the suppression effect or the damage over time really doesn't do much, especially for heavy ammo. Following that for the Hunter exotic, we have the Shards of Galileo, a very popular exotic these days because Blade Barrage is doing incredibly well. And obviously in Rage, you probably see a lot more starter scales because of the potential damage, but in most of the time, getting your super back more frequently with this exotic is gonna often be the better pick, or at least the more satisfying one. If you don't know, hits and kills with Blade Barrage return super energy after the super ends. And this one is probably one of the more inconsistent ones in the game, so I wouldn't depend on this being consistent, but it does give you something back. Furthermore, this is good in PvE and PvP, and after Solo 3.0 got a lot better, it actually became a viable option because it's not the only good part about the subclass. As far as the role goes, you'd like to see high intellect, which is decently high enough, and of course high resilience, which can work in either mode. The problem being is that recovery and mobility aren't as high as I'd like them to be, but total 63 is the average. Following that for the Titan exotic, we have the Holofire Heart, which honestly is one of my favorite exotics in the game. Now if you don't know, it improves the recharge rate of your solar abilities, which by the way makes it so that they charge twice as quickly, and greatly improves the recharge rate when you're supercharged, which is 4 times as quickly, and provides a small benefit to airborne effectiveness of all weapons. Now, here's the thing. I don't use this that often, obviously because Lorelei's is just such an incredible pick, but being able to get your stuff back 4 times fast is incredibly powerful, and you can combine that with the sunspots and everything else. And frankly, I don't really use my solar super that often. It's usually just to make sure that I don't die in the scenario. So this exotic is incredibly powerful for solar, especially Solo 3.0. Again, the only problem is that Lorelei is just too good to give up. As far as the role goes, honestly, I would say all stats are in contention. This particular exotic, you want discipline, intellect, and strength. In general, I would recommend mobility, resilience, and recovery, and it has a lot of these, but not all of these. And at the average of 65 or above average, it's a decent role. Depends if it fits with your build. And finally, for the Warlock exotic, ain't got no ad, man. We have the Transverse of Steps, probably one of the more popular PvP exotics and just in general speed boots in the game. Firstly, your sprint speed is increased, obviously being the sprint boots, and after a short time, your currently equipped weapon is automatically reloaded, which is very useful, especially for slow loading shotguns or big heavy machine guns. It's really nice to be able to just sprint it off. As far as the role goes, that is an incredibly high amount of recovery, which is always nice to have. Low mobility is often favored for Warlocks, especially with Icarus Dash. However, the total of 59 is pretty low. It depends if it works with your build, but I definitely think you could do better. Following that, let's take a look at the legendary weapons. First up, the Imperial Needle, which is Impulse and Swashbuckler. Not the best combination. I don't think this can have explosive payload, but definitely could be better. Following that, we have the Royal Chase, a 180 RPM precision frame scout rifle with Grey Robber and Quick Draw. Not really what you're looking for, and the rest of it's not really the stats you're looking for. After that, Enigma's Draw, triple tap Demolitionist. Not a bad roll, however, I'm personally not a fan of precision frames, and the rest of it is kind of meh. After that, we have Iota Draconis, high impact frame, heating up cornered, also a decent combination, definitely better options on this particular item, and it has some pretty good perks across it though. My personal recommendation would be that you should keep in mind that charge time does lower impact, and so I don't really like it as nearly as much as I used to. Following that, we have an Ignition Code, Surplus Danger Zone. This thing has Slide Shot, has Vorpal, Blinding Grenade, Spike Grenade. It has so many better options, although not a terrible option. After that, Interference 6 with Field Prep and Full Court. It does not have Spike Grenades, but this is one of the best rolls you can have on it. I personally like the auto-loading with Full Court, but an incredible roll on an incredible weapon, probably one of the best 120s of the game. And finally, we have the Lonesome Zen Moment Kill Clip, probably one of the better rolls you can have on it. Has a range masterwork, has some good to this, has light mag. Overall, one of the best Lonesomes, but again, I don't really like precision frames. After that, let's take a look at the legendary armors. Obviously, I'm on my Titan, so I see the legendary armors for the Titan. 65, high mobility and strength, very nice roll, depends what works your build. 61 recovery intellect, again a decent option. 62 recovery discipline strength, okay. 59, not as high as I would like it to be, although pretty good distribution. We have a 57 with recovery and intellect, weird, not recommended. 53 is even lower than that, don't really like it. 53 and 52. So it seems like this second set of armor is just not very good. The first set is going to be where it's all about. And finally, let's take a look at the exotic weapons. First up for Hawkmoon today, we have the Surplus. Now, Surplus is actually one of my favorite perks. However, rangefinder, opening shot are going to be better options on the Hawkmoon in general. And furthermore, it does have extended burrow, which does control the recoil direction, which is nice to have, and I do like it, which makes the recoil up to 100. After that, we have the Dead Man's Tail, which usually you're looking for moving target or Vorpal, and it does have, in fact, that. Furthermore, it has an increase to range in Hammerforge rifling, although it does not have a recoil direction, which can bring up to 99, which is nice to have. So overall, I'd say this is a pretty good roll, although it definitely could be better. And of course, any exotic engram that you will ever get from the Season Pass in the world and here is an engram or an exotic that you've never received before, and it drops with a high stat roll. 63, not the best, but it's okay. Now 67, alright! The one from before. And of course, I just want to give a big shout out to my patrons on Patreon. Specifically, a big thank you to Mom and Dad, Postalones, and Boxer World, 92 Buckner, Student Panther, History Wagon for their support on Patreon. And that's it. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name's Dychronic, and I'll see you guys on the next one.